Good morning Greenlight channel. If you've been following this Civic, you'll know that we've been having an absolute terrible time. A terrible time of it. Everything's just, well, it's been having a terrible time. Not many things work on the car, and we're the lucky people who have to fix everything. So in the last episode you'll see we removed the steering racks. We had to do that twice to take the steering racks out because we had play in the steering rack. We've got a new used steering rack. Figured out that the top mount was knackered, and we also figured out that one of the holes where the trap rod goes into the strut, that's wore, and the trap rod isn't sitting in it properly. So we've had to order many new stuff. So we actually got a new top mount, which is here from a Euro car parts. We have a new top mount, but we went to change the top mount, and the strut itself was just absolutely ruined. As you can see here, I'll show you now. So you can see there that the strut is just absolutely battered. So we've ordered two new struts. They said they were meant to be a pair. One's matte black, one's gloss black. A bit worrying, but they look pretty alright to me. Today we're going to be building up the struts. We're putting the eyebrow lowering springs on the new struts with the new top mount, and we're going to put them all back together and then put them in the car. And then also we need to install our new used steering rack. We're going to put some more grease in there if it feels like it's a bit dry. Already opened it up. We was going to put a new slider in there, but we have lost the new slider, and this car needs to go back on the road. We're all getting very frustrated seeing it like this. Later on, if it still feels bad, we can always just put a new slider in it whilst it's in the car. It's a bit awkward, but it's doable. Have the strut there. The new spring sits in its little position like that. And then you best just copy the old design. So we have the top mount there, and this is the new. So we've got top mount, and then we have the bearing which sits in it like that. This goes on first, through there, sits over the spring, and the bearing sits on top of that like that, and then just gun it down with a gun. So usually when you got lowering springs, sometimes you don't actually need to compress the spring because it's already quite short. So we push that down, we can just get the thread, meaning we won't need to compress the spring, which is handy. Okay, so the shocks are fully built up in the car, fully bolted in. So now we need to focus on the steering rack. This is our new second-hand one, and this is our one that we don't want to use. So what I've just done is, we had both the sliders out. If you remember, these are the sliders. I put them next to each other and chose the best one. This one had like bigger holes in the middle. These holes in the middle were larger than the one in there, so I've used that one. It's in there now, the slider's just in there. So I just turned the rack all the way here, took the slider out, greased it up, greased up all the inside of the steering rack as well, gone left, gone right, pushed all the grease in, and then now, so you can just pull this back here. If you wind the steering rack all the way to one side, you can pull it here, put the slider on the bolts where it's now, and it's now ready to be bolted in. Okay, so we've got a Jubilee clip on the end. We've put these ones on. I've checked that they fit the new struts and they fit really nicely, and these ones aren't seized like them ones are. So we're going to put the extended ones on. The steering rack's here. It's not a fun job, but we have no play over here on this side anymore. We always had play on this side, so that's good news. The rack's on, everything's on, suspension's on, struts are on, everything is back on. The rack's bolted up, the rack's ready to be bolted to the steering wheel. So you need to do the centering of the rack before we pull the steering wheel to it. And everything feels tight, it doesn't feel loose, so it's going to feel better. I'm just worried about that steering rack in the middle. When you go side to side, it feels quite bumpy, and I don't remember the other one being like that, but we'll have to see when we go for a drive. Let me go and get some food. Okay, so the rack is on. You come under here and you have to mess about with like the U-joint, but you want to be getting at the same turns to the left as the same turns to the right. So to the left we've got 1.5, and let's come back center, and to the right we've got 1.5. So the rack is perfectly centered now. So we put the wheel straight. They should somewhat be straight. Obviously the tracking's gonna be way out, so this is towed out too far, and they're both towed out too far. Each side's towed out way too far, so it's going to drive horrendous, because obviously that's going to be the mixture between the suspension and the tie rods and stuff, track rods, but it will need to be tracked. But the rack is straight, so what we need to do now is just basically do the toe out. We might do a bit of an eye alignment, just to pull the toe in a little bit, because as you can see there, the toe out's quite bad. The toe out's quite bad on this side, so let's just do a bit of an eye alignment. And an eye alignment is just by looking and putting it somewhat straight so it drives somewhat better, because right now that'll be pulling the car all over the place. So what we're going to do is we have got some brakes and stuff to do, brake disc and brake fluid, but for now I just want to see what feels like. So I'm going to make sure everything's tight. I'm going to get the wheels on, and yeah, let's go for a bit of a drive. Not been for a drive in this thing in absolutely forever, so it might be quite nice to actually take it for a bit of a spin with hopefully the new parts, but it feels a lot tighter. So let's just get the trap rods. We'll just do a bit of an eye alignment, pull the toe in a little bit, especially on this side. Yeah, let's pull the toe in a bit. Everything's on, steering rack's on, steering wheel is straight. Let's go for a drive and see if it's made any difference. Right, here we go. Does feel a bit more responsive, I'm not gonna lie. Like in the middle, it feels like you've got something there. It still feels vague, but you're never gonna get that away. Like, such a problem for these cars. Steering racks just never feel like super responsive, but it definitely feels better. It feels miles better now. It's not knocking. Miles better without that strut. Actually feels like there's springs now attached to the car, and there's some sort of rebound from the shot, whereas before obviously the shot was just well, there wasn't one, it was just literally a spring. Way better. Actually, it does feel a lot better. There's no knocking. Nah, it feels miles better. What I'm feeling is just what these cars suffer with, and that's just a vague steering rack from factory, like there, you know. Oh no, it feels better. You just got to get used to that vagueness in the middle. You've just got to throw the car in way more than your usual car would. But there is a design fault with these. We'll let Neil go out in it. I mean, it's not the most sharpest rack in the world at other cars like your Porsche still, but it feels way better. I mean, I would feel way more comfortable flying this around now. Yeah? Yeah. Still, you know, in most cars when you turn in, you think this should be turning in now, but it's still going straight. Yeah. Still has that, but once I got past that, like, I actually felt quite comfortable throwing it around, yeah. And it still needs aligning as well, so
that's the off-putting thing. You turn it and then it's just
goes straight still.
Are you gonna turn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does turn. Well, maybe we are. Some of the cars we drive
a lot sharper, yeah.
A bit unfair comparison. You know, like you get in the Greenlight Focus and it's just you drive that.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. But this is still now fairly comfortable.
Yeah. It feels a lot better, I must admit. Now we have a shock that's shocking.
Rather than the spring that's springing. Oh, it's smooth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much better.
But it's still very vague.
It is vague, isn't it, in the middle? So with great pleasure, we've decided that is fixed. Me and Neil have driven lots of Hondas. We actually had a DC5 here in the office for a good couple of years, so we know what a normal Honda feels like, and that feels like a normal Honda. The vagueness is just the usual Honda thing. Our DC5 did it. Pretty much every single Honda I've driven has done that, so we're at a stage now where we're confident that that's how it should feel, and it feels good. There is vagueness in the middle, but it's just something you've got to adapt to be fair. Maybe it's just something because it's an electric rack and there's a bit of a delay in the pump. We're not quite sure. A bit of a delay in the motor, but we're not quite sure. But what we are sure of is it feels 10 times better. It feels confident, doesn't feel like anything's going to break, and we're confident that that's how it should feel. So thank God. Thank God. Oh my God, thank God, so many hours. We're also going to do one more thing. We are going to just change the brake disc. The brake discs have been through a lot. Brakes have been through a lot, and we don't know how long they've been on the car for, and they're getting quite scratched and stuff. So we just got some new brake discs with perched, which we're going to put on. Just some like vented ones. They're not C-hook or grooved or anything. They're literally just some play one like that. But for what we need, that's perfect. So we're just going to put these on. We have got some racing fluid upstairs for the brakes, but trying to bleed brakes is just 10 times easier on a ramp if we're trying to do that here, trying to empty the whole system and rebleed it, it's quite difficult when you've got to take every single wheel off, and it's just easier on ramp. So we're going to put the discs on. I'm going to put the discs on now, and then we can just take it down to our local garage or ADS Autos and get them to bleed the brakes. So yeah, we've all changed brake discs before, so I'm not going to show you much of it. I'm going to be happy to just park this car up and not know there's 10,000 things to do, which may or may not work. We've done it. Yes, it's been a pain, it's been a nightmare, but it could have been a lot worse, and it feels good. It does feel good now.